Compounding is when your earnings generate more earnings over time. This is what we call time value of money. How do you actually get started? So now some of you might be thinking, but I don't have thousands of dollars to invest right now. So step one, pick any amount you can invest, even if it's just $50 to $100 a month. Welcome to Elevate Your Wealth, and today we're going to be talking about the power of compounding. Start now, thank yourself later. Why is compounding such an important tool? Why is it the ultimate wealth tool for your investments? I want you to think about if you had $100 today and how that could turn into thousands without you barely doing anything and with minimum effort. It sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it is not magic. It's the power of compounding. It's like a financial cheat code, except it's not a secret, yet there's so many people who ignore it. And the sad reality is the later you start, the more money you leave on the table. So in today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the power of compounding. We're going to talk about how it works. We're going to also talk about why starting sooner rather than later is a key element for your wealth building, and how small and consistent investments can lead to serious wealth over a long period of time. So whether you're 25 or 45, this is a strategy you cannot afford to ignore. Okay, let's look at some statistics that will grab your attention. Did you know that if you invest $10,000 at 7% interest, it can actually double in 10 years' time without you doing anything? Now imagine doing that over lots of decades and lots of years. This is how real wealth is built. Not through quick wins, but through consistency and through taking advantage of time. Okay, so what exactly is compounding? Let's start with the basics, okay? Compounding is when your earnings generate more earnings over time. You are making money not just on your original investment, but also on interest or returns it generates. There is an analogy when you think about a snowball rolling down a hill. First, it's tiny, but as it keeps rolling, it gathers more snow, it grows bigger, and it picks up speed. That's exactly how compounding works with your money. The earlier you start rolling that snowball, the bigger it gets over time. There's also a difference between simple interest and compound interest. Okay, so most people really need to understand this. Simple interest is you earn only on the principal. Okay, so some people, for example, you might have a bank account and the savings on that account may be giving you something like 5% per year. And that only pays you. And if you take that money out, there's no compounding on that. While as compound interest is when you earn on both the principal and any past earnings. So same example, rather than taking out the 5%, you allow that work for you over time. And then that way you actually build on lots of momentum with your money. So just to give you a few examples of if you invested $10,000 with 7%, after 10 years, that $10,000 will become roughly about $19,000. After about 20 years, it grows to about 38. And after about 30 years, it grows to about 76. And that's just if you invest once and you don't touch that again or you don't put more money. So imagine if you kept contributing over time, what would that look like? Those are simple examples to think about when you think of compounding. So why starting early really matters as well is time value of money. Okay. Now, this is where things get really interesting because starting early is one of the biggest advantages you can have and give yourself. The more time your money has to grow, the less you need to invest to reach this same goal which you want. So for example, if you're looking to invest for a house, you can really start a lot earlier. That way you get to that goal a lot easier. So now let's take two investors, investor one and investor two, and we'll compare what outcomes they had. So take Sarah, who starts investing at 25 years old and contributes $5,000 per year for only 10 years and then stops. And Tom waits until he's 35, but contributes $5,000 per year for 30 years. So now, who do you think ends up with more money at age 65? So let's look at the results. So even though Tom invested for 3 times longer, Sarah actually ends up with more money. And that's just because she started a lot earlier. Okay. Why? Because Sarah's early contributions kept growing exponentially, while Tom had to work hard to catch up. This is what we call the time value of money. Every year you wait, you're actually losing the advantage of exponential growth. So think about your future self. Would they wish you had started investing today? I think most people will say yes, they wish they would have started investing today. So one thing we always say is small steps lead to big results over time. So how do you actually get started? Okay. So now some of you might be thinking, okay, but I don't have thousands of dollars to invest right now. And here's the truth. You don't need a lot to get started. The power of compounding works just as well with small, consistent investments. So the earlier you start, the better. How to start? Even just with $100 a month, and if you automate those contributions and almost go with a set and forget, just like paying a bill, making investments automatic, that can go a long way. You can also use something called reinvestment tools like dividend reinvestment plans, or just allowing the distributions or earnings you earn on that investments to keep growing. So even small amounts like $100 make a difference if you get 7% of that over a long period of time. That can actually grow to $120,000 in 30 years' time. So let's talk about a real example that I've worked with. I once worked with someone who did not think they could save. Okay, so we started with just about $50 a month. And that was like skipping 2 dinners out, not even just a dinner or just a few coffees. Over time, that increased. And now they've got a 6-figure investment portfolio. Okay. And all that will just take a bit of time and a bit of years. And this is just because they started small with what they could afford at that point in time. And they remained consistent over that period of time as well. So what are the key takeaways I want you people to actually take away from this segment? First of all, we'll just wrap up with the biggest takeaway, and that is compounding is slow at first, but it's unstoppable after some period of time. It's your job just to get started, and then it does the rest. So what can you do right now? So I'm going to talk about a few steps which you can do to actually take advantage of this. So step 1, pick any amount you can invest, even if it's just $50 to $100 a month, and you start investing that. You set up an automated investment account into a simple ETF or high interest account, whatever works for you at this point in time. And you make sure that automatically goes in there. And then you just sit down and you allow it grow and don't touch it. However, from time to time, if you can increase that amount, do that. And you'll see that will build into something and you build a great habit. So my final thoughts for you, I want you to remember that wealth is not built overnight. It's built over decades. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time to start is today. So, next episode, we're going to be talking about another key wealth building tool, and that's about smart debt strategies. So we'll cover how to use debt the right way to grow your wealth, and we'll also ensure you understand how to take advantage of this. So stay tuned, subscribe, and share, like for more educational content.